Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! Resolve. In the last episode, we finished the first day of the trial, and there was a very pleasant surprise for us in Susato-san is back. And without further ado, I just want to start the second day of investigation. It's the 23rd October, 2:41 p.m. at Naruhodo's legal consultancy. There she is.
Oh, this room. It's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar.
I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you'd left. But it has been some 6 months, it's true.
So is your father alright, Susie?
Sorry, guys.
What happened? My father?
Yes, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason.
That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back soon. Surprised but happy. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you. That it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that.
Well, we're all delighted to have you back.
It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium.
The International Forensic. That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned.
Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh!
You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan.
Yes, of course, I shall.
And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma.
I know. I'll tell you all that I can.
Well, before we start off, I want to be thorough. You see, I've been keeping my desk beautiful covered in papers as always.
You really must tidy it all up, Mr. Naruhodo. No more excuses.
But Miss Susato, the way I see it, all these papers building up on my desk like this are a reminder of my wonderfully diverse daily life. I like to leave them as they are so I never forget how lucky I am to have such varied experiences.
In that case, you should definitely have a thorough tidy. Then you'll be able to see your papers building up all over again and feel that joy renewed.
Still can't beat her in argument, even though I'm the lawyer here. Susato-san.
You have water gently boiling on the stove, I see.
It feels wrong somehow if I can't hear the water bubbling away. And we have plenty of logs. It's not like we have to worry about paying for gas.
It's important to open the window for fresh air when the fire's burning, though. You can't keep it closed just because it's cold outside. It could be a matter of life and death.
Avoiding the freezing winter air is a matter of life and death too, if you ask me.
Oh well, perhaps a nice cup of tea will warm you up later.
Okay. What about the tea service? Oh, I'm so looking forward
to making you some tea again, Mr. Naruhodo.
Which you'd think I wouldn't like, given that I'm not keen on bitter flavors, but it is Susato-san's tea. And it's amazing what a little cake or something on the side can do.
I would dearly love to serve you some sort of Japanese sweet alongside your matcha green tea. But I suppose that's simply not possible given how long we've been staying here in London.
Well, I do like the little chocolates you put with my tea. They go wonderfully.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you would, wouldn't you?
That gives me a warm glow inside for some reason. Welcome back, Susato-san. Welcome back. Thinking back, that spade's been in here since we first moved in, hasn't it?
I'm sure I've told you before, Mr. Naruhodo. It's not a spade, it's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material, it's a spade.
No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel.
The great spade shovel war rages on. I missed that. I sure missed that. Oh, what is that?
I see Daruma still has only one eye filled.
Well, we agreed that it's something we do together, didn't we? We could do it right now if you like. I'd be happy with that.
I rather like the anticipation, I think, Mr. Naruto.
Alright, if you say so. You're the boss, Susato-san. Your room through there should be exactly as you left it. I've still never been inside. I've never been invited.
Of course not. Only Iris is allowed in my room.
No doubt I'll be hearing you two giggling away in there again then. There's Iris, so we can talk to Iris if you want to. Let's have a look at the desk first. I left your desk completely untouched, Miss Susato, so it will be ready for you whenever you return.
It's beautifully clean. There isn't a speck of dust on it anywhere. You've been cleaning in my absence, Mr. Naruto. Whatever next?
Well, I couldn't allow my great assistant's desk to sit there gathering dust, could I?
It really is exactly as it was when I left. I'm so touched. But sadly, your desk is also exactly as it was too.
Well, that's how it should be after all.
Oh dear, I'd forgotten how that clean-cut smile can be so disarming.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, let's have a look at the aquarium.
I'm so pleased to see all our sea creatures doing so well in the aquarium.
Yes, the prawns are still swimming and the anemones are still swaying. Obviously, I've been looking after them carefully. At first, I used to drool whenever I looked at those juicy prawns, but not anymore. They're like part of the family now.
I don't suppose they'll ever know how close they were to meeting their maker.
Oh, okay. Alright, so we have touched upon everything. Let's talk to Iris for a second.
It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of Father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I called it The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yeah, that was the last case in the first game. But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it.
So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh, it sounds exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it. Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh! I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris.
Oh, interesting. So we could talk about that if you wanted to, but I want to keep things in order. That is why we're going to converse first. Back in Britain.
When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never been allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely.
The awful trial? Oh yes, for the murder of Giselle Bratt.
Ooh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing! I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Runo?
Yes, I suppose so.
I want to play at being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe.
I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Miss Susato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotowa summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
That's right. The very large dog collar we found with a bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he returned as white as a sheet.
Why would that be then?
Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. and I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie!
That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. Ah, okay, so let's talk about the Forensic Science Symposium. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Yes, and from Japan my father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe.
Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? The judge, did you say?
Yes, His Excellency Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruto. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. The terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder.
Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days.
Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over the trial.
If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face again in my life.
Oh, well, anyway, his father was invited to the symposium. He agreed to me returning to Britain too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on ahead.
Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important.
I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General.
The most senior position in the British justice system.
He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition.
Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Strongheart personally then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen too much of it.
Hard trying for you.
Well, let's talk about Giselle Brett then. Giselle Brett, the woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson.
Yes.
Yes, Giselle Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live.
The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget.
Sorry?
Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist.
Didn't exist? But how can it be?
It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin, and she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front.
Shin, that might be a play on word because if I recall correctly, Shin in Japanese means real. Her real name was Real. that would be a nice pun if it's true. A front? Who on earth was she then?
Miss A. Shin.
A. Shin.
Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why, or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery.
But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to?
I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand.
And now she's been killed, while all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered.
I'm afraid so.
A. Shin. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? What about Kazuma, Susato-san?
After my friend Rei's trial,
sorry guys.
The reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. and that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never...
Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-san.
And what did you learn?
After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladed at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there.
Should have been?
Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared.
What? Kazuma's body vanished?
Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Kazuma-sama isn't there.
Did Professor Mikotoban know about this?
Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak.
I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? The Kazuma mystery. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Boria were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, he never saw his body. After he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be that he's actually still alive?
Stop it, Mr. Naruto. It's too much to bear.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruto. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly.
Oh, you're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us.
But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing.
I suppose that's true, yes.
The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. Because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what that might do to me.
Oh, Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea that the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. Well, guys, we talked about everything. I just want to say I do have a heavy suspicion that the assistant of Van Zieg's, the mysterious person with the mask, might actually be Kazuma. But that's just a suspicion. That's just a thought I had, an idea. I of course don't know because this is a blind let's play. But I actually, if I remember correctly, and if you've watched that episode, I already said that I think that his face, his chin, looks like Kazuma's. So, I'm gonna present some stuff, by the way. You know me.
You're still taking good care of that armband, I see. I'm so pleased.
Well, yes, it feels like it wouldn't be me without it now, to be honest.
Oh dear, there seems to be a thread coming loose just there. Look. I'd be only happy to mend it for you, Mr. Naruto.
Oh, thank you. I must have scrapped it against something again. I'm always doing that.
Then take better care of it, please.
It was all going so well until I ruined it. Oh, Susato-san. Okay, I'm just gonna present stuff about this paper, Miss Susato.
Yes, it's all about the great exhibition. I've been dreaming about it, you know.
I was sorry that you were going to miss it when you were called back to Japan.
So was I. I felt desperately unlucky. But here I am, back in London while it's underway. It's a dream come true. Perhaps you're not as unlucky.
Perhaps you're not as unlucky as you thought then.
Once we've helped Professor Hairbrain out of this terrible situation, we should all explore it together. And of course, we must invite the Professor's good friend Lord Von Zieks as well.
Your luck might not stretch that far. Well, what about the crossbow? Do you have something to say about the crossbow? Yes, you do.
This was used to shoot down the balloon, wasn't it?
Yes, with a flaming arrow. It's quite a formidable weapon.
I'm quite accomplished with a longbow myself, you know.
No, really?
If you were to balance an apple on your head, Mr. Naruto, I'm quite confident I could hit it from a good 50 meters away.
Quite confident, you say? Does that apple necessarily have to be on my head? Well, this is surely a reference to Wilhelm Tell. If you don't know, it's a story from Friedrich Schiller, who is a German author, a writer, a playwright. No, not just a playwright, but a writer per se. And he wrote Wilhelm Tell. So if you want to know about the apple on the head, maybe you just want to Google it. Let's talk about the piece of green cloth then.
Mr. Sato, do you see this?
Yes.
There's such great expectation in your eyes, Mr. Naruto, but I'm afraid nothing particularly useful comes to my mind at all.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what I was expecting, really. Okay, so she doesn't have anything to say about this. What about this? Nothing either. Okay, cool. What about this? Nothing either. Okay. What about this? The autopsy report? But you have medical knowledge, Susato-san. Maybe there's something about this. What about the screwdriver? You're a very handy person. Okay, you're not as handy as I thought. Okay, what about the photograph of the balloon? Maybe you have to say something to say about that. No, you don't. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Time to talk to Iris then. Nothing particular. Notes. No! Oh, that was a misclick. I'm sorry, guys. I wanted to click here. And now we're gonna talk to Iris about the Hound of the Baskervilles.
It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study, and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, "The Hound of the Baskervilles."
What? My Baskerville story?
Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time. But Father came in and...
Susato, what are you doing?
Oh, Father.
Did you look at those papers?
No, I simply read the label, that's all.
Well, put it out of your mind.
Sorry?
Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand? But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan?
I have no idea. But when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed. There was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still, I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie. So, Mr. Naruto, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well.
So you're fully abreast of the situation already, Miss Susato? I'd expected nothing less, to be honest.
I would think of our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick.
Yes, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic.
Then we need to go and arrest him.
Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree with we really do need to find the man.
It sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police, or a great detective.
Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think.
Good idea. Well, best of luck then.
Oh, you're not coming today?
I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you got on, won't you?
That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Okay, so we talked about everything, didn't we? Oh, what? Oh, we could talk about what to do! We're gonna do that, of course.
Do you know, I honestly thought I might never have the opportunity to return to Great Britain. And certainly not so soon.
It's funny, for the past 6 months, I haven't been able to work in court. Meanwhile, you've been raising a storm in the Supreme Court of Judicature back in Japan.
Please, Mr. Naruto, I may have been dressed as a man, but it was a very reserved performance.
So what your father said in his letter about a Ryutaro takedown is reserved?
Well, anyway, I'm back here in this great capital now, and ready to assist you again, in any way I can.
Thank you, Mr. Sato.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Naruto.
Well, we did that too, and we presented everything, so it's time to move. But first things first, a new location has been added? What is it? Madame Tuspel's? The experimentation stage? Okay, we can't go to the prosecutor's office for some reason. Because we can now enter the legal consultancy, I guess. Alright, but we are going to go to Sholmes' suite because we want to talk to Mr. Sholmes. He might know something, and we are going to do that in the next episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Resolve, because we are very close to hitting the half-hour mark, and therefore I think this is a nice opportunity to end this episode. So thanks so much for watching, and see you next time. See you then.